While it has to be hard to always be in the public eye, The View co-host, Joy Behar, seems to like the spotlight at least most of the time. However, she wasn't happy with the guest on the Wednesday episode when he called her out for a strange habit he witnessed Joy doing. Later in the show, she isn't sure she can agree to be friends after his embarrassing reveal earlier in the show. Warm welcome for the guest star get retraction. During the Wednesday episode of The View, the panelists welcomed guest star Matt Rogers. Notably, Whoopi Goldberg announced he is releasing a new comedic Christmas album, Have You Heard of Christmas? He is also the self-proclaimed Prince of Christmas. Jokingly referring to the self-given title, he says, "I googled it and no one had taken it." But Sunny Hostin was threatening to take his name away when she learned he is severely red-green colorblind. Following, she lets him keep his crown since he says he instead focuses on a white Christmas. And while most of the panelists continued their warm welcoming, Joy Behar was quick to retract hers when the guest blasted her for embarrassing travel behavior. Joy Behar gets called out. In the introduction of Matt Rogers, he mentions the last time he saw the View crew was in the Bahamas in 2022. Unbeknownst to Joy Behar, during a trip last year, she had been spotted on an airplane. While it isn't uncommon for people to recognize her, it was startling to hear someone unexpectedly talk about her habits in front of the View audience. During the recollection of the trip, Matt pointedly says, "And I will say Bao and Yang, and I were in the second row of the plane, you guys were in the first row." Then he shifts to look directly at Joy and sassily says, "You were barefoot on that plane." After he blasts Joy, she quickly tells Matt, "Shut up," to get him to move away from the subject that blindsided her. Since it takes her off guard, she abruptly reprimands him by saying, "Don't tell people that." Sunny Hostin's jaw drops about Joy Behar's behavior. Surprisingly, Sarah Haynes' jaw drops, and she gapes with a full expression of shock for several long seconds, following Matt Rogers' unveiling of Joy Behar's choice. Then Matt laughs and says, "But I respect it." Defensively, Joy says, "I wasn't walking around though." Agreeingly, they all said, No. Sunny Hostin says, "No, she wasn't walking around. But I was seated next to her." Then pauses briefly, continuing, looking directly at Joy and accusatively says, "And you did take your shoes off." Aggressively, Joy says, "Well, so what?" Emphatically, Sarah Haynes interrupts with, "We talk about it all the time." Matt attempts to smooth it saying, "I respected it. It was a power move." And Joy assertively says, "I object to this court of inquiry right now." And then they move on. Notably, the panelists, including Joy Behar, have expressed strong feelings about being barefoot in public places. Matt Rogers' audience experience. Formerly, Matt Rogers was in the audience of The View in September 2018. At that time, he remembered wanting to be at the Hot Topics table, but also that someone else claimed to be Kelly Clarkson's biggest fan. He was a bit upset because he was her biggest fan and the other guy stole his moment. As his story went on, Sarah Haynes regrouped saying, "But we're all friends now," to which Joy Behar quickly interjects smugly, "Not me, now that you outed me." Matt retorts about her feet, "You weren't hiding it. They were up and out." What do you think about Matt Rogers calling out Joy Behar on The View for being barefoot on the plane? Do you think it is a big deal? Do you fly barefoot? Drop your opinions in the comments below.